There's lots to criticise about the League of Nations. The idea of the League of Nations was ambitious at most at the start, but you should be able to critique the League of Nations with evidence to back up your claims. You should be able to say that the League did not have a peacekeeping army, which meant that it could not, should we say, force people to stop things when they were taking part in war. This is a good example with the Manchurian crisis, where Japan had used their army and refused to leave, and the League couldn't do anything about it. You need to be able to pinpoint different parts of the League of Nations and be able to critique them with evidence. I'm going to come up with some examples for you here just to give you a bit of a flavour, but you should be able to do this on your own with your own argument strategies, and I really urge you to look at the textbook. They have at least 11 different things that you can criticise about the League of Nations, and you can try and come up with the evidence there. But let me give you another one. So over here it says that League structure was complex and there weren't enough people to carry out decisions that were made. I'm trying to think now of an example where the League had struggled to come up with, should we say, carrying out a decision in time. When was the League slow? The League was quite slow in response to Vilna, right? In 1920, Poland invaded Vilna because they thought that Polish people were there, and then the League didn't really reply in time, and Poland just controlled that area. Suddenly you have a point, and that means that slowness meant that war happened more often, or should we say events of international instability occurred more often. That's completely valid. But a really interesting point that you can think up on your own here is what parts of the League of Nations were good? Well, firstly, I think the idea of it being a peacekeeping organisation is a good thing. It did succeed in certain cases of being a peacekeeping organisation, the Ireland Islands being an example of success, Bulgaria being an example of success. Nobody died, people got what they wanted, and these kind of economic and moral condemnation threats did work. However, there are other examples where economic threats and moral condemnation do not work. I mean, Italy and Abyssinia did not care about moral condemnation. And admittedly, another interesting point is that if the League of Nations blocked your economic things with economic sanctions, you couldn't trade with any of the countries in the League of Nations, there is one major financial country in the world that you could still trade with who wasn't a member of the League of Nations as well. Who might that be? The USA? So let's say I am Greece and I invade Bulgaria and everyone stops trading with me. I can just trade with the USA and get around it. If the League of Nations is not a united worldwide organisation, it's gonna be a failure. And if you know about the modern UN, they've kind of fixed all these issues. The UN does have some sort of peacekeeping army. You might have seen them in places like Africa dealing with malaria outbreaks. The UN is a worldwide organisation. Pretty much every country in the world is a part of the UN, which means you cannot get around the UN at all. You are going to encounter them if you're committing war crimes or taking part in war. The League of Nations is the proto-UN. It's a failure, but it's a failure that reveals things that need to happen for peace to be kept. But it's definitely a part of why the Second World War begins, because not only does it fail to address a lot of different war issues, but it fails to address one key person. It's the person at the beginning of our next topic, Hitler. I'm going to leave you there, but if you can tell me what parts of the League worked and why, and also can you tell me what parts of the League didn't work and why, with examples, you'll be set for this topic on the League of Nations. All right, good luck. See you later.